Hello, and thank you for joining me for another virtual dose of vitamin C, where we bring the Detroit Zoo to you. My name is Zahraa. I'm an education specialist at the Detroit Zoological Society, where we celebrate and save wildlife every day. Today, as you can see, we're talking about anteaters. Before we get started talking about anteaters, let's take a look at some vocabulary words. Ooh, not quite at the right spot. All the way back to the beginning. Okay, we are going to be talking about convergent evolution and insectivores. And both of these sound like really big words and really complex topics, but hopefully we'll break them down and you get a better understanding of what each one means. All right, so to learn about anteaters, let's take a look at our map. So we always start off right here in North America where the Detroit Zoo is located. I drew a square roughly around Michigan. Anteaters are found in South America and Central America. So parts of Central America and parts of South America. They're often confused for another animal, the aardvark, who is found in Africa. And the reason why they are confused for each other is that long snot. And we'll start talking a little bit about that long snot in a little bit and how they kind of have this relationship that doesn't really exist in a second. But I just wanted to share that the animals on South America, including the armadillo and the sloth and the anteater, of which there are 4 species, were very geographically isolated. They were very separated from the other continents, including North America. So they've spent a lot of their history evolving on their own or changing on their own all throughout time. So they don't really have close relationships with animals on other continents. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that snot or that really long nose that makes people think the anteater is related to the aardvark. So that is actually because of something called convergent evolution. So what is convergent evolution? So evolution is when an animal gets a change in their appearance or inside their body, and that helps them survive better. And then they continue to pass that along to their children. And over time, they start to have that trait. Some examples are like human thumbs. So that is something we evolved to have. We didn't always have thumbs. And for the anteater, that long nose or long snot is a something that their ancestors evolved way long ago and gave to them. So the reason why it's convergent evolution is because the anteater and the aardvark both have that long snot, but they didn't get it from each other. They didn't get it from the same ancestor. Each of their ancestors had their own mutation and changed over time on their own to get that trait. An example of something that could be convergent is if you're wearing a blue sweater today and I'm wearing a blue sweater today. So despite the fact that we have something in common, we're both wearing blue sweaters, we're not wearing the same blue sweater and we didn't wear it for the same reason. It's just something that happened as a coincidence or something that we both needed to do and not something that we share, just a trait that looks similar but is not the same. All right, so now that we know a little bit about convergent evolution or how animals can sometimes look like they share something but not, let's take a look at our other vocabulary word, insectivore. So how did the anteater get that long snot that gave them the, how did the anteater get that long snot? And this came from their diet or the things they eat. Anteaters are insectivores. This means that they're animals that only eat insects like ants and termites. And they're usually found in anthills or termite mounds. And that long snot really helped them get it deep inside the anthill and get to the ants really quickly and easily grab all the ants they need to eat. So they became evolved because of their diet or the fact that they're insectivores. All right, so anteaters have been around for 25 million years. And again, there's 4 different species of anteaters, but the species we're talking about today and the species that lives at the Detroit Zoo is the giant anteater behind me. So I'm going to go ahead and share some more pictures of the anteater and talk a little more about anteaters with you. All right, so over here we have a picture of an anteater. I want you to take a look at their really long tail, that really almost feathery like fur. So remember, anteaters are mammals. They are covered in fur, not feathers, despite the appearance. And this fur helps protect them from the ants. So they don't really feel bites when they're attacking an anthill because of that really thick fur that they have covering their bodies. They have a really long snout, like we mentioned earlier, and that helps them eat a lot better. But some other features I want you to pay attention to are their small ears. You can barely see them in this picture, and their small eyes. So anteaters do not have excellent vision or excellent hearing. They don't use that to hunt. What do they use? So they use their sense of smell, and you can see that their nose is very elongated, and that helps with their sense of smell. So they actually can smell 40 times better than humans. And if you remember what they eat ants, and they can actually pick up the scent of ants and find them based on their sense of smell. So I want you to think about this to get an idea of how their sense of smell works, and how much better it is than humans. I want you to think about whether you can think of what an ant smells like. I know I can't. I can probably see an ant before I can smell it. And that's not the case with anteaters. They're able to pick up the smell. And again, they smell 40 times better than humans and are able to find what they're looking for through their sense of smell. They also have that really long tongue. They have a tongue that's about 2 feet wide, and they can move really, really fast. They can move in and out of an anthill, move that tongue in and out of an anthill up to 160 times, grabbing the ants that are in there. So they're also really smart hunters, and they don't stay in one anthill for too long. So they only stay at an anthill for about a minute before moving on to the next anthill. And the reason they do that is because they want the anthill to stay intact or stay, functioning, so that more ants can come and they can visit it again. If they were to destroy it, then they'd have to find new anthills for food. And it's really important that they have access to a lot of anthills because they eat up to 35,000 ants per day. All right, so I have another look at their features that I want you to take a look at, and this is their paw. And there's 2 things I want you to notice right over here. One is the really sharp claw, so you can see that sharp claw, and that they use to break into an anthill. The other thing is the curve of their paw. So it's kind of curved like this. And this is because they need to keep that claw really, really sharp so they don't actually walk on it and have it break and not be sharp. They walk on the knuckles of their feet. And by doing that, they help protect that paw that they need. Or that nail that they need later on for hunting. So I have a video of 2 of the anteaters at the Detroit Zoo, Chelsea and Bissell, and I want you to pay attention to how they're using their sharp claw to hunt at this pumpkin. So there are 2 anteaters at the Detroit Zoo. They are granddaughter and grandmother. The oldest is Chelsea, who was born in 1996. She was born in 1996. She's very old for an anteater. They only live to about 15, but she's about 24 now. And then her granddaughter's name is Bissell, and she was named after the vacuum. Bissell was born in 2008. So even she is 12 years old and a fully grown anteater. All right, so we saw how they use their paw right here. Let's take another look at a video of Bissell and Chelsea moving around their habitat. See if you can notice how they're moving on the knuckles. A really cool thing that the animal care staff provide the anteaters with is different scents throughout their habitat to give them that chance to explore and to hunt. One of their favorite treats is avocados. So they'll place them either in the hollow of a tree or somewhere in the habitat and give the anteater a chance to look for them. And I've gotten to see an avocado half after the anteaters have eaten it, and I gotta tell you, it was wiped completely clean, much better than I can do with a spoon. So they are super impressive with cleaning out their food. All right, so now that we've talked a little bit about anteaters, I wanted to talk a little bit more about their tongue. So not only is their tongue able to move really, really fast, and grab at insects. It's also covered in sticky saliva, and that helps it grab a lot of insects in each swipe that it does. So today's activity gives us a chance to explore like Chelsea and Bissell, but it also gives us a chance to play around with something sticky. So we're actually going to be making slime today, and I have a recipe for slime, but you are welcome to use whatever recipe you have. So I actually have two recipes because we're going to be comparing two recipes. And today we're comparing them to see which one is stickier, like the saliva of an anteater, and which one is better able to grab our ants or our rice. Obviously, we don't want to hurt real animals, so we're using rice instead of ants, but you can also use sprinkles or anything else you can think of that's really small, about the size of an ant for your slime to grab. So once you've made your two recipes, so I changed up the amount of eye contact solution or saline from 1 tablespoon to 2, so I can compare the two, and then you want to make a table like this. So you're gonna go ahead and give it a few different tries, collecting as many rice as you can in each round until you've tried it about 3 times, and then you can use that data to compare and decide which one is the stickiest slime. So doing this activity gives us a chance to see what it's like to grab a ton of ants at once, like an anteater, but it also gives us a chance to practice important skills, so like measuring. We're also doing some data collection, and we're making and testing predictions as well as drawing conclusions about which is the best slime, or the stickiest slime. Maybe sticky is not always the best when it comes to slime. All right. So if you made your table and you want to share it with me, or if you found an excellent slime recipe and you want to share that with me, go ahead and send it to education@dzs.org. Before we leave, I do want to remind you that the population of anteaters in the wild is vulnerable. That means that their numbers are decreasing, and they're decreasing because of people going into their space and developing their space. So anteaters are found in South America, and we can't really help in development in South America, but we do have a lot of species that share our homes here where we live. And it's really important that when humans are building, whether our homes or our cities, that we're keeping in mind that we're sharing the space with other animals and making sure that we are being fair to all. So thank you so much for watching. Again, if you want to share your slime recipes with me, feel free to send an email or pictures of your data collection. Until then, make sure to check out the Detroit Zoo's website for all our videos, or check back here soon for some more.